It's been called the American Dyatlov Pass, a case so baffling, so devoid of logic, that it haunts investigators nearly 50 years later. 5 men, a winning basketball game, a celebratory snack run, and then a drive into oblivion. Why would five close friends, known for their strict routines and fear of the dark, drive 50 miles in the wrong direction up a snow choked mountain road in the dead of winter? And why, when they found shelter and food that could have saved them, did they starve to death in the dark? I'm Jen, and this is the Yuba County 5.
Welcome, stranger.
Secret society.
Strangers. Society.
Welcome to the secret society.
Strangers?
Welcome back to the Secret Society of Strangers, the podcast where we explore history's darkest and strangest events. Today, we're covering the Yuba County 5, which is, like Jen said in the opening, considered America's Dyatlov Pass. And if you were with us a few weeks ago, we covered that topic or case, and it is probably one of the eeriest unsolved death cases that I can think of. This case, on the other hand, is probably one of the saddest unsolved, like weird missing person / like body recoveries. So if you like the Dyatlov Pass and this is your kind of thing, make sure you subscribe, hit that follow button. And if you're listening to us on anything like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a 5-star rating.
It's the only rating I heard.
Yeah.
It's only
I delete everything else anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Makes sense.
Other than that, I got yelled at for this by everybody already today. We do have a buy us a cup of coffee, so if you would like to support us, that definitely helps us out. It goes towards all this fine tech equipment we have here, and on top of that, we all are working people, so this is a fun hobby for us that anything helps. So thanks for that. All right, Jen, you ready to take us on this mystery?
Yes.
Really
sad journey.
Unusual series of events.
Yes.
Yeah, because I love being sad on a Monday night.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? So to really understand the anomaly of that night, we have to understand the routine of these boys' lives. In Yuba City, California, these 5 young men are fixtures in the community, and they were known affectionately as the boys. So
That is like the coolest group name. Like you can't go wrong with it.
exactly.
It's timeless.
Right. So that kind of gives you a sense, or just a picture in your mind of that they're well loved, they're well known in the community, and that they are probably always together, or you
Well,
find
yeah, you
one,
have to
find
be
four
to be
more.
called the boys.
So,
But it is also good that we clarify it up top because it is somewhat confusing. They are all technically grown men.
yes,
Yeah.
technically, yes.
But you're still the boy. The boys.
Yeah. And the Saturdays for them and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the boys, they range in age from 24 to 32. And while, like we said, they are adults, they navigated the world with a certain innocence. 4 of them lived with intellectual disabilities and resided with their parents, who definitely provided that safety net of structure and care. So first we have Ted Weiher. At 32, Ted was the oldest, but perhaps the most childlike in spirit. He was a big guy, 5'11", over 200 pounds, with friendly hand wave for everyone that he would meet along the way. He worked as a janitor and a snack bar clerk, but he had his issues sort of included what in old terms, they quote as lacking common sense. But Like, for instance, he once quit a job because his family had advised him to save up for a car, but he took that to mean he shouldn't spend any money even on bus fare to get to work.
But
So
then how would you get money for
it's
But that's
what you
the
wanted?
disability, the literal thinking
yeah,
of like, oh, the only way I could save money is to not do the things I'm normally doing, which would exclude getting on
so
a bus and
Yeah.
right. So he would just take things too literally and overthink it at that.
he'd also get like upset and like not understand like why people wouldn't wave back when he would wave to
Right.
people. Like
Yeah,
very innocent and very, like you said, like childlike, like
exactly.
innocent,
I mean, I
pure.
do low key get upset. Like, I get like, yo, if you like wave at somebody or say good morning and they don't say it back, you're like,
Oh,
yo, fuck you, man.
Yeah,
Stop
exactly.
slipping
Yeah.
I mean,
me.
I get really pissed in my Jeep if I don't get the Jeep wave back. I'm like, hey, yo.
Yo, have you ever been ducked?
Not in my old Jeep. They will not. They duck my husband's new Jeep all the time, but they
Oh
don't do
man,
my OG original, which I think is
Yeah,
I
baffling to
feel like
me.
that would
But
be
I'm
like the
okay
duck.
with it.
Yeah, I've only gotten ducked once, and I was like, oh, this is a real thing. This isn't just social media, internet
Yeah,
life.
no,
It was pretty cool.
it's a whole thing. Now I've got my bobblehead moose, and that's all I really want. But anyway, so next we've got Jack Madruga. He's 30. He was high functioning and an Army veteran, and he had served stateside. So he is going to be our driver on this night. He's known as the responsible one of the group, and he drives his prized 1969 Mercury Montego, a car that they quoted family said he cherished like a family member. This was
This
definitely
is
his
my
baby.
baby.
Yeah. So he was known also to be protective of people that he loved and certainly his other four friends. And so he was the one that all the parents trusted to get the boys to their destinations and back home safe.
Okay.
He also had some pretty serious anxious tendencies. It's to be noted for this story, he absolutely hated being cold and hated the rain.
I mean, I can't blame him.
Right.
He's got
And
me with the
At all.
cold, definitely. I love the rain, but
I
not.
mean, I
and
love the rain too, but like, at what point is there enough rain? Enough rain? Like, I've lived in Washington. That shit sucks.
you're right. And also to be noted, that anxiety with that could also very much hamper him as driver and in his beloved Montego. So that'll be important for later as well. Next, we've got Bill Sterling, 29, and he was known as the Gentle Soul. He was deeply religious, would spend hours at the library reading, and he would read religious texts to bring comfort to patients at mental health hospitals and just local hospitals, and known as the Peacemaker.
Oh, just sounds like a really swell guy.
All of
Yeah.
them just
Yeah, they sound like
Mhm.
pretty cool people, man.
Yeah, you can see how they would form like an excellent group, a very well-rounded group.
So many summer hijinks.
Probably. Next, we've got Jack Huett, 24. He was known as the Shadow just because he was more dependent on his friends and especially his father. He struggled the most with speech and processing, but was known to have a heart of gold. And so when they say shadow, he was much more of a follower. He needed
Mm.
someone to guide him, and that could go in a good or bad, direction.
Yeah, you just manipulate the poor kid.
Exactly. So,
It sounds like he at least has a good group of friends that are looking out for him. It doesn't sound
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So now we've got the fifth man, and this is the variable, Gary Mathias. Gary was 25, and he definitely did not fit the mold of the other four. He was an outsider who had been brought into the fold. Gary was an Army veteran who had served in Germany, and while overseas, he developed paranoid schizophrenia. So he was medically discharged after a drug problem compounded his mental health struggles, or you could say mental health struggles led to a drug problem, which would be not uncommon, especially with schizophrenia. So, and he certainly would have been, while he was serving, the age for schizophrenia to develop, unfortunately, the pattern of that disease. So, but by 1978, however, Gary seemed to be a success story. He was taking his medication religiously, it said, and he was working for his stepfather's gardening business. Family and those around him that spent significant time around him outside of his friend group reported he was lucid, he was sharp, and he had become a leader to the other boys, like a big brother figure, despite his own struggles. So,
I think so. I also think it's really important to point out that like he did have his struggles, like Jen said. He does have a little bit of a criminal record, so he's been arrested twice, I believe, at this point, but in high school, and nothing is violent. I want to point that out like
yes.
right up top. He has a breaking and entering, and he broke into a house to retrieve a ring that he heard a voice that he thought was Satan telling him to get the ring. Opportunity abound to do whatever he wanted to the people sleeping into the home. He did nothing. He was
Right.
not violent. He,
Acting on maybe a delusion of
Yeah.
from his
exactly.
mental illness. Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out when things come up later. He's never been outwardly
Mhm.
violent to people, even on drugs in Germany and all that stuff. There's no
Yeah.
reports of him attacking anybody.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that because sometimes people, they hear, especially in light of as we're recording this, recent events, paranoid schizophrenia and things and drug induced schizophrenia being in
Mhm.
the news. It's good to point out that it's very rare that those with schizophrenia are a danger to anyone other than themselves, unfortunately. So yeah. So what binds all of these boys together though is basketball. They are obsessed would be the word to go with. So, and they played for the Gateway Gators, and that was a program for the intellectually disabled. They weren't just playing for fun, however, they took it very seriously and were fierce competitors.
So they were playing for keeps.
Yes. Yeah.
I should probably also get this out of the way right up top too before I get distracted by it. Like Gateway has nothing to do with Gateway Project. There's mysteries in this story, but they have nothing to do with that gateway.
That's what they want you to think, Lee.
Maybe, but I just
We'll
want
make
you
it
to know that
so
I
on
don't
the
think that
nose.
now up top, because later on people are gonna be like, "Lee's crazy and thinks it's the Gateway Project. He's in a cult."
Only one part of that sentence is true.
Yeah, you're a...
Okay.
Plead the fifth.
No, but ball is
See, that's
life
where
and
you
the
keep
Gateway
it.
Gators
Keep us
going
guessing.
all the way to the top.
Yeah. So their next game is a big deal. It was the first round of a week-long tournament sponsored by the Special Olympics, and the winner would get a free week in Los Angeles. So this trip is all that the boys talk about. Ted Weir has laid out his clothes for the trip days in advance. He's asked his mom to wash his new Gateway Gators jersey. So, point being, they have everything to live for. They are very forward thinking, all of them. It's reported for each of the guys, by family members. Nobody has any weird red flags going up.
They're small at this point. Like their world
Yes.
is this basketball game coming up, and the basketball
Yes.
game they're going to that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure as like a adolescent man, 25-year-old, like an opportunity to go on vacation is preoccupying your whole entire mind.
Right.
That is all I'm sure these kids are thinking about, how excited this is going to be, or exciting it's going to be.
So all of that is why the events of Friday, February 24th are nearly impossible to reconcile. So here we go. The plan was simple. On Friday night, they would drive 50 miles north to Chico, watch the UC Davis versus Chico State basketball game, and drive home. Jack Madruga picked everyone up in his turquoise Montego. They make the drive, they watch the game, they cheer as UC Davis wins. After the game,
sounds like a good Friday night so far.
exactly. Yeah, your team won. Everything's good. After the game, they did what any group of friends would do, especially guys. They stopped for snacks. It is 10 p.m. and they are at Bears Market in Chico. The clerk knows them. from previous visits. So this is a routine, like I said at the top. These are routine driven individuals. He watches as they pile their arms full of Hostess fruit pies, lemon and apple to be
Yo, I
specific.
do love me a good fruit pie though. They're like, that's my kryptonite.
Put them in the
It's
microwave
so
for a little
it's
while.
so
And
much
yeah,
sugar and it's so not good for you, but it's my
no.
kryptonite.
A Snickers bar, a Marathon bar, 2 large Pepsis, and some milk.
Well, here's the thing though, like in my wildest dreams, I have never just grabbed 2 large ass Pepsis for the munchies.
Gotta go get the big fountains with the
Yeah, that's what I
ice.
was picturing. Because yeah, I don't want any soda. Pepsi would be the only thing I would drink though, but it has to be in the fountain. Like you won't catch me just buying a bottle of it. I don't care
Yeah.
about that. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
more
I feel
importantly,
that.
though, about their choices of food is that none of this food is survival
No,
meal,
No.
no,
anything
no.
long term.
This is
This is
Yeah, I'm
strictly
just
for
gonna
the
grab
drive
some
home.
Slim Jims
Yep,
and yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna devour this
Quality.
before we leave the parking lot, actually.
Probably, yeah. So after that, they walk out into the cold night air, and this is about the end of what we know to be 100% factual.
Fun stops at the shop.
Yeah. So we will talk though about a very crucial geographical fact here. So to get home to Yuba City, they would get on Highway 99 and drive south. It's straight, flat, boring road. You absolutely cannot miss it. And it just runs through the valley floor. Is everyone feeling a Josh joke right now? Josh is
It's
smiling.
100%.
That's
Yo, I
why.
feel like I'm being like personally attacked without being directly personally attacked.
See, we don't even have to say it.
I feel so shamed.
so
I felt the
ashamed.
eyes of
I
On
shame.
just-
flat land.
Yeah, I know
I
you guys
am.
couldn't
I
see
am.
it, but his
I
face
tell you.
was just like, yeah, it was just begging for a
But North Dakota is so
joke.
flat. You could just watch your dog run away for 3 days, and I'm not even joking.
Yeah. So, anyway, however, the Mercury Montego does not go south. They drive east.
That
They
is not
drive
south.
no. They drive out of Chico and onto the Oroville Quincy Road. And this road is not something you turn on by accident, and if you do, you will want to get off of it ASAP. You don't slip onto it. It requires deliberate turns, and as you keep driving, that valley floor gives way to the foothills. The road starts to wind. The elevation climbs 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, and now we also have got weather happening. So it had been starting to just rain a little bit, but now as they're hitting that elevation, that rain is turning to sleet, and ultimately the sleet is turning to snow.
It
So,
is terrifying driving in the mountains in like slippery
oh,
conditions.
yeah.
It's so scary.
I mean, I get scared like when we do those mountain, snow runs in my Jeep that's perfectly prepared for it. And I'm willingly doing this on purpose. Like, I'm still kind of like, please don't fail me now, but I can't imagine a Mercury Montego.
No way. And those things
No.
are like U-boats. Those things are just probably
I mean,
sliding and big asses just
and
drifting
you
everywhere.
did not intend to be in that situation. And,
No.
and it's nighttime, which makes
Yeah.
it's just even
Eh,
worse.
Because
Oh,
in
God.
a story for a case full of mysteries, like this has to be highlighted as one of the strangest things to
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah,
For
Yeah.
because that whole like I'm lost and like home is right around the next corner kind of thing does not apply to driving
No.
like 4,500 feet in elevation
No.
when you should be on flat land. Like, is
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
right? Like you just know you're going the wrong way as soon as you hit a hill. And these
Yeah.
guys, for whatever reason, somehow kept going up a
And
mountain.
and that is one of the absolute main sticking points that no one can quite comprehend. So Jack Madruga, a man who would not, if he could absolutely help it, drive in the rain, is now piloting his prized Montega car up a narrow, potholed, essential logging road in the pitch black, except for the fact that now it's starting to really run into some serious snow. So I can imagine that blinding effect that you kind of have, that contrast of total darkness and the
Yeah.
snowfall, and especially if
Oh
you're
yeah.
not used to that. Mm, yeah, no
No,
good.
and we highlighted in the front, like, a lot of these guys are routine based, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
so even if the driver decided to do something that was against the routine, you have a car full of guys who'd be like, "Hey, that's not the way we would go," and, like, would be
Yes,
vocal about that.
because they know this. Like they've been on this trip enough to the clerk knows them,
Yeah.
at the convenience store. So there's absolutely no reason that they started off in the wrong direction to begin with, but continued is what is really
Do you think
unfathomable.
like they were like, oh, maybe this is a shortcut?
I
Let's try
No,
don't
something new.
They
I don't.
don't.
We're all hopped up on sugar and stuff. I
Whatever
don't know.
happens at this moment when they make the wrong turn, whatever that is, and we'll talk about theories as we go, but we'll
Mhm.
just keep getting into the weird. So, as at this point, as like we said, they've gotten 4,500 feet in elevation, and they're supposed to be on a valley floor. They end up 70 miles away from home. Think about that. I mean,
It's so far away.
that's bad today if thinking time-wise, if you end up going 70 miles the wrong direction, you've made a wrong turn somewhere, especially in the conditions they're driving in and where they were supposed to be. It's
Mm.
it's bizarre. So, basically, they've ended up deep in the Plumas National Forest, and what we can surmise is obviously it's probably a miracle that Montego made it as far as it even did. Unfortunately, I kind of wish it hadn't, but they started to slide. You know that at some point this car
Yeah.
is not made for this.
Are
No
you
way.
talking about the Mercury Montego,
Mhm.
the old one? Yeah, for the listeners' sake, if you picture an old classic car with a really long nose, with a big
Yeah.
old engine that's rear-wheel drive, that's what
Yeah.
these guys are driving.
I
That's
was
not
gonna
made
say,
for the
like,
snow at
this
all.
thing is just
No.
going
You know it
Yeah.
sideways
is.
and not
You
yeah.
hit that good switchback,
And
and you're like, well, this is it. We're going over the cliff.
yeah. And I
Mhm.
mean, probably just because cars were just like tanks, heavy, probably the only reason I can imagine that it still made it, like,
Because it was
didn't
so heavy,
just
it got good traction.
I
That's a good
I'm
point.
guessing.
Probably crawling. If we know
Well,
Oh
anything
yeah,
yeah.
about how precious this car is to him,
Yeah.
he is, like, at a
white
snail's pace.
knuckling, in and
Yeah.
twoing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, what we know is that, this car does eventually stop. At this point, we won't say or not sure, what's going on with it, but it stopped. And fortunately, it doesn't help a ton, but we did have somewhat of an eyewitness to what could have been the last moments that we know for sure that the boys were alive. So, a man named Joseph Shones was a 55-year-old man from Sacramento, and earlier that evening, he had driven his Volkswagen Beetle up the mountain to check snow conditions for a family ski trip.
What
So many
what are
poor
these
What
people?
decisions
the
being
What
made.
are what
I
what are these
can't.
people? A
Anyway,
beetle. The beetle. Let's just take our beetle up the
so I'm
mountain,
gonna shock you right
casually.
here. The
Sounds like I'm
VW
going to smoke a joint
the
Yeah,
VW
right?
gets
in the
stuck in
house
a
with the
drift.
family.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay.
So,
That
I'm
makes more
sure
sense.
no one is shocked that the VW is gets
No
stuck.
way.
And so Shones does what one would do, tries to push it out. And as he's doing that, he feels a crushing pain in his chest. That's right. He's having a heart attack.
Ooh,
So, of
not the
course,
place you want that to
no,
happen.
this is bad. So, of course, he's terrified, but he climbs back in his car turns the engine back on, keep the heater running, and he basically says he waited to either die or be rescued because there was
Hey,
nothing
what do
he
you
could
do at
do.
that point?
That's it. He's like, yo, I'm a goner.
So we will say that anything that he says, especially I feel like more the time component could be up for debate,
Mm.
but he says, hours pass and it becomes midnight and he starts to see headlights through the rear window, so behind him.
Bet you he's so excited and happy.
Oh yeah. And so he says it's a car that pulls up behind him. It is the turquoise Montego. he watches, he sees the headlights cutting through the snow, and he sees movement. So he tells police he saw a group of men standing around the car, but he also describes something very strange, a woman holding a baby. The police believe that the woman and baby was a hallucination brought on by pain and exhaustion, but he was absolutely adamant about the men, the group of men. Still, I don't know. That's weird. I don't.
Yeah, why would there
The
be a
woman and baby,
woman and baby thing?
unless
That
more
doesn't make
time
sense.
I don't know. The hallucination with the heart attack that he's surviving is not, that's not common, even
No.
for that level of pain. So I don't know what that was about, but
Ghost.
yeah, the
Ghost.
police are like, I don't know about that. But he's absolutely like, okay, fine about the woman and baby, but I am for sure about the men. So he does what anyone in his terrible situation would do. He opens the door and yells, help me, I need help. And in response, he gets silence. The lights
Damn.
on the other car shut off, voices stop, and he describes the men's figures seem to just melt into the tree line. He calls out again, nothing.
Maybe he just scared them so bad they just like ran for the trees.
It's a possibility.
So that is unfortunately like a real
Mhm.
possibility.
It is.
Especially with
Yeah.
their disabilities and
And
the
there's
fact
no
that,
way
like,
they're not terrified at this journey that they have just
Yeah.
made.
Oh yeah, and then you're like, oh, what's up with this car? Let's see what's. Oh my God, there's some random person that probably just kicked the door open. It was like, help!
I mean, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeti.
So, yeah.
Today, sir.
So Shone spends the night in his car, continuing to be terrified in pain and watching the other vehicle
Or
for them to come back or, something. And he says at one point he sees what he thinks is a flashlight beam sweeping through the trees, but it never comes towards his direction. So that leads us to the first thing. Were they scared, or was someone else with them keeping them silent and not allowing them to make contact with an outside party that could help them potentially? We don't know.
Do you guys want to like pause and go through like initial theories from like parking lot to this point and then go through the second half later? Or do you want to do it all at once? Because I think there's a few options of what could have happened from now to then and then later on.
Yeah, we could do
yeah,
that.
let's do that.
Just because, all right, so the baby thing, let's just get, because I
That's
think
so
that's going to be a
weird.
big thing to take us off track later on. There are
Mhm.
really only one option, right? Like they picked this woman and a baby up in the parking lot before they started
Right.
going
Going up.
home, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
only, otherwise she would have been on the side of the road in these conditions at some point, and that means they're picking up a hitchhiker.
Right.
Yeah, I could see
Mhm.
that because like they're all like good Samaritans and stuff like that.
Maybe, but again, you're talking about guys who love routine, and you're talking about how many? What, 5 big men?
Yeah.
There's 5
Yeah,
of them, right? In this car. They're
probably
not
not much
about to like
room.
squeeze over for a woman and a baby.
I don't know, man. The
I
big softy of the group
I
might.
know. I could see them picking up a woman and baby if they saw it, but equally I could see them not. And
Like
even if
not
they
knowing what to do
Yeah,
with it.
because their
Like
parents
not
probably also told them
yes,
stranger danger, stuff
that's
like
exactly.
that.
the issue with even picking up because I feel like you had enough in the group that took things like so literally that like, you know,
Mhm.
but at the same time, something changed at the parking lot
Mm.
Yeah.
to immediately go in the wrong direction.
All right. So if that woman is not a real thing and it's a hallucination, well, there's, I guess, in my mind, there's really only 2 other things that could have gone on, and one is increasingly more impossible, I feel like, than the other. Is that they actually ran into some kind of bad actor in the parking lot,
Right.
and that person somehow got in the car with them, got them to travel 70 miles in the wrong direction.
Yes.
Oh, somebody that saw an easy target or
Maybe.
something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, like whatever. If so, like I can. Maybe they just needed the ride and wanted the car, and like
Hmm.
just took them all. Whatever.
Mhm.
Kind of hard to believe that even like a person that was looking for that made 5 grown men their target like
Right,
that
because
is
they wouldn't
Right.
know
unusual.
that, any of
There's
them
some
had
yeah.
intellectual disabilities, but then even
Mm,
so, Matthias does not. So,
exactly. Well, that's the other loose key
You
right
think he
there
just
is
yeah.
had like a
Matthias.
schizophrenic episode right there at the parking lot?
There are reports of him having issues with people in town, right? Do I think that that is what happened? I really don't think that that would cause all of them to become involved this deeply that this happens. But the only possible thing I can see potentially most realistically happening is that yes, Gary has some sort of panic induced schizophrenic moment
Mhm.
and tells them to drive and tells them to be cautious because he hears people or thinks people are coming after them. Another reason why they would run away from someone coming out of their car to yell. Gary is
Mhm.
literally sitting there like, don't listen to him, don't listen to him, don't, they're coming to get us, they're coming to get us.
Yeah, and they took it so literally.
Maybe
Maybe.
again, they're all the that is really hard to think they got them so far out of where they're
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Yeah,
That's
that is
the
a long
part,
way.
like,
That's the problem.
having if that happened for Gary, just say if that happened and he was with one other, okay, but to get the other 4 to all go along with that
Mhm.
delusion,
For that
that's what's
long.
hard to
And I'm
Because they
sorry,
went 70
who's the
miles.
driver? Ja
Jack's driving his own
Jack
car.
Jack,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
okay. His parents have actually said if that was a situation and one of them would have had a situation in that car, he would have 100% pulled the car over
Mhm.
and gotten out and gotten everybody out of the car, not continued to drive.
Yeah,
So,
ex
again, that 70
exactly.
miles, the elevation, wrong direction clearly is what's
In
a
weather conditions that are
big
just
Oh, yeah, so
not.
you know they're going slow, so, like, taking 70 miles out of the out of your way, it would have been such a long time.
absolutely, yeah. Again, I just think piecing this together step by step is important because this whole 70 miles is such a gap. Like Josh is saying, like that time period is a huge time period,
Mhm.
and we
Mhm.
have no accounts of what happened in that
It's all
window.
speculation.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess what they did we find out they're missing, and then we start a search, right, Jen?
Yeah, yeah. The search starts on Saturday. Obviously, the parents are absolutely frantic. The basketball tournament begins, and Gateway Gators are on the court, and their starting 5 players are missing. So everybody knows this is very bad news that this,
Yeah.
can't be good.
Because the
And
boys would never have missed that.
exactly, never.
I get a chill just thinking about that because there's also
Yeah.
probably other friends on that team that are relying on them and
Mhm.
know how important this all is to them. And
Like, all his
whatever,
life.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever now their emotions are that may now have to be handled by like their parents or their
Mhm.
guardian is
Mhm.
like this whole community is probably reeling at this point.
They
5 grown adults
they are.
missing with disabilities.
They are, and the
Not a
search
good
for
look.
them was absolutely massive. The problem is they were looking in the wrong place.
How would you
Yeah,
not?
because they were looking along the flat road, not up
Exactly.
in the
How
Exactly.
would you
mountain.
look 70
They're
miles up
searching
a
the
mountain?
route between Chico and Yuba City. Of course, they're obviously expecting a car accident of some kind that's happened, or broken down. They've broken down, didn't know what to
Mhm.
do, or whatever. So those would have been the best case scenarios compared to what ends up happening. So it's not until 5 days later on a Tuesday that a park ranger notices the Mercury Montego sitting on this logging road. So
Like complete coincidence too. Like
Yeah,
he's not part of the search, right? Like he's just
no,
out.
no,
Yeah.
no, he's just
he's just
out
doing
in
park
his
ranger
his
stuff.
area, of this national park, and he comes across this. So the condition of the car is now going to be the first piece of evidence. And it contradicts everything that we might have assumed about, what a Montego could do in these snow conditions. So first and foremost, the car was not really stuck. It was like, kind of stuck, but not to the point that 5, or at least someone controlling the wheel, and 4 men couldn't have given it just like a little oomph. I'm not even talking anything crazy. I mean, like me and my girlfriend could get it out, like,
Okay.
and so the tires had just spun in the snow, basically creating very shallow divots, but nothing not recoverable. So the second thing was the gas tank was a quarter full. So we didn't run out of gas. And the third thing that was huge, especially to Madruga's parents, the owner of the car, was the undercarriage of this car is pristine. In contrast to the road to get up there is described as brutal, full of ruts and potholes, a typical logging road. So if he had been driving, or really anyone at this point, if Jack wasn't driving, and that explains why they even continued on, this person was not driving erratically or in a panic state like they were being chased by another vehicle or something
It's
along
very
those
smooth,
lines. Because they
slow.
say this Montego versus that road, unless you were just babying it, would have bottomed out in
And you got a
many places.
full grown people in that car. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of
So
weight.
you're already sitting low.
So the authorities determined that the drive up had to have been careful and controlled.
Unless they didn't drive.
Ooh,
Got
aliens.
beamed
Oh,
and
here we go.
transported. See, it told you the gateway. I
No.
had to clear it out first.
I mean, it's about as good as any. But
Really
the
is.
car is found unlocked with one window rolled down. Inside, they find the wrappers of the candy bars along with the empty Pepsi cans. There were road maps left in the glove box, and the
That's right.
keys to the car are gone. So now, obviously, the search has now shifted to this very unexpected, remote, and very unfortunate place that you do not want to have to look for anyone because
you already know.
you're in a national park, for goodness sakes. This is not good. And so they search, the police and volunteers search this area for days using snowcats, dogs, a helicopter, anything you can think of. But as luck would have it, in this case, a blizzard moves in the days, a day or two after the car is found. So they don't get much time to cover hardly any ground. And it dumps at least 2 feet of fresh snow on this search area. So trail is completely erased. Anything they could have had, is now gone.
Damn.
So
Nature doesn't want them to be found.
winter turns to spring, and of course the snow starts to melt and recede. On June 4th, 1978, a group of motorcyclists were riding through the national forest, and they were about 19 miles away from where the Montego was found.
Jesus.
Another
That's
one.
so far also.
Crazy.
So they come
Number
across
4.
a trailer, and it turns out it's a Forest Service outpost that is used by rangers in the summer. They notice that a window is broken in this trailer, and then they're aware of a very unfortunate and distinct smell of decay. They look inside this trailer, and basically they have found the body of Ted Weiher.
Damn, not Ted.
Yeah, Ted. So the scene inside this, it's a 60-foot trailer, is one of horror. Ted is laying on a bed. He was wrapped in 8 sheets, and the edges of these sheets were tucked very carefully around his body as if to trap in heat. His shoes are missing, and his feet are badly frostbitten. The horror part is that it's ultimately determined that Ted had lived there for a long time. His beard growth suggested that he had survived anywhere from 8 to 13 weeks. So essentially could have lived nearly 3 months after the disappearance in the safety of this trailer.
Jesus.
It's
He
another-
weighed,
That's so insane.
as you recall, he was about 200 pounds, 5'11", I believe, when he left home. When they found him, he barely weighed 100 pounds, and it was determined that he had starved to death. Weird part, number 500,
I
he
was just supposed to say it's not weird yet.
No,
He-
shit gets weirder.
he did not have any reason at all to starve to death.
Or freeze to death.
Or freeze to death. The trailer was a depot for food. There were dozens of sea rations, military grade canned food.
Yeah, so
Only,
like MREs and
yeah,
stuff.
only a few cans had been opened with what they determined was a P38 can opener, which was an army tool that,
Yeah, just this little can opener razor thing.
and again, a lot of this is, of course, authorities and people theorizing later, but that only Jack Madruga or Gary Mathias probably would have known how to use that P38.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the food, which, by the way, was enough to feed all 5 men for almost a year in that
Shit.
trailer, remained
That's
in a
so that's
locker.
what, like, we're saying trailer, and they technically are trailers, but they're like side by side trailers with like a deck in between. These things are built for survival, like emergency
Yeah.
ration survival
Yeah.
in the winter, in the cold.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they're built for.
And the locker the food was in, it wasn't locked. It was just closed. And for heat, there was a propane tank outside. It was full. A valve inside the trailer fed a heater. So all they had to do was just literally turn the knob.
Turn it on.
So essentially, he froze to death in a shelter with heat and starved to death in a pantry, a food pantry.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's
So obviously, now that they found Ted, they've got a whole new search area now because we're even 19 miles away from where the car had been found. So the very next day, searchers find the remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling. They were about 4.5 miles from the trailer, and they were on the road leading to the trailer. So almost as if they were either walking away from it or walking back towards it. I don't know.
And then they
can't
just
tell.
froze.
yeah.
So they're just bones. Unfortunately, scavenger animals had done what they do. And so Jack Madruga's body had been dragged towards a stream, and he was identified by the watch on his wrist. And Bill Sterling was found in the wooded area nearby, and it was all of his bones were just scattered. So that's why I say they couldn't tell. They were heading on the road towards the
Coming or
trailer,
going,
away from the
yeah.
trailer. They don't know.
Lots of animal involvement after death.
Because now we're so far removed from,
When they went missing.
yeah.
Also points out the remoteness of this area where
Mm.
there are just the ability for a variety of wildlife just to walk and pick up bones before another human comes in
Mhm.
contact with them.
Yeah.
Authorities speculate, and of course, all you can do at this point is speculate that they had been walking towards the trailer, like all of them were, and that they had frozen to death, succumbed to whatever on the way there. But we can't know. There's no way to know. So 2 days after that, and this sucks so bad. The story gets worse and worse. Jack Huett's father, who of course is part of the search, finds his own son.
Jesus. I couldn't
He's-
even imagine.
No,
He's-
wait till you find out how he finds them.
He spotted a pair of Levi's and a backbone lying in the brush, and this is 2 miles from the trailer. So now we have 4 out of the 5 boys. Ted's in the trailer, Madruga and Sterling 4 miles away, Huett 2 miles from the trailer. But where is Gary Mathias?
Bum, bum, bum. Real Carmen Sandiego situation.
Gary Mathias, the veteran, the man who they think would have known the most about how to survive, is, as of 2025, never found. Hide nor
Just-
hair, nothing.
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 Nothing at all. Zero evidence.
Did he even exist?
So However, inside the trailer, police are able to picture or put together that Gary's tennis shoes are inside the trailer, and they also find his sea ration, the can opener. So they believe that Gary took Ted's, so Ted's shoes, remember, were missing, and they were leather. So they think that he switched out and took Ted's leather shoes, possibly because his feet had swollen so much from the frostbite that he needed that. And so he was able to put on larger shoes and walked out into the snow to find help. Or, as we discussed in, other theories are that, he left for another reason entirely, and that was to escape the situation, potentially, that
see if he could go get help or something.
that would be the good. That's what
Yeah,
the other
hopefully
theories
that's what it was.
that Gary, knowingly or unknowingly, due to mental illness, led them basically into this death trap. But the problem is, other than Ted, they have no way of knowing how the others died.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, yeah, it's all just so weird.
Yeah, because like if he did like murder the other ones that were outside, why wouldn't you just do the one that's inside?
Why would you leave
laying in the
Ted?
bed? Yeah, that's
Exactly.
so
And
weird.
we know pretty well that Gary definitely was inside the trailer.
Yeah,
Pretty sure. So,
Yeah.
so that's
I
the
think they were
thing.
all in there. At least the three
So
of them.
yeah.
that's literally as much as anyone knows for sure. And so that the only thing that's left are the theories. We've talked
Can I,
about several.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you remind me what was Ted's mental disability?
Ted was overly friendly. He would wave to everyone and get a little perturbed if they didn't wave back at him. He worked as a janitor, and he was the one that was to save up for a car, stopped going to work
Going to work.
because of the bus fare.
Yeah. And to be fair, when this happened and when a lot of these articles are originally written, the term they use for all five of these men
Yeah.
is just the R word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's real
Oh,
simple.
certainly.
5
Yeah.
R men went missing, and there's no
Mhm.
nuance to their disabilities.
It's just such a shittier time.
Yeah. So I'm piecing to get a lot more.
Well, part of me wonders if, because being from a bit of a narrow, spicy household, if they tried the food and it just was like so disgusting to them, they're like, I can't eat it.
Can't
Like,
eat it.
just literally
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
eat it. Like they
So
know it's there, but
Mhm.
they literally can't get themselves
I
to
mean,
eat
that's
it.
totally possible.
that is absolutely plays
I never would have thought
into
about that.
one of the theories that we all talked about, I think, and one that authorities had too, was sort of what we would describe today as like a learned helplessness, that at least Ted, Jack, and Bill were men who were taught to live by rules. They were told not to touch things that weren't theirs, told not to steal. And so
So they took it so literally.
these would have been things drilled into them, just like the routines, because basically their routines help them in more ways than just, a mental stability or a comfort thing. It also allowed them to have that independence, and their parents, would be able to give that to them. So exactly, that's one of the theories that plays into as a possibility that's been posited. So
It's still just hard to believe that all of them would have succumbed to that and
that's the
not broke at some point for survival.
well, and the problem is that and Gary does not have that
Mhm.
going on, and he's not gone enough time for, even with first generation schizophrenic medication, he's not gone enough time without medication to have some
No.
for that to
Wild
alone
episode.
cause
Yeah.
a break. I
Unless
mean,
there
could it
is
happen? Of
just
course, because it's first generation drugs, but I mean, it's weird. How they even got there in the first place is the key to
that
everything.
Yeah.
the whole
And
thing.
we
Just
just
weird.
we can't we can't know. I mean, so just to run through what, if you dive a little deeper, you'll run into about three main theories. One is the quote simple explanation. The men finish their snacks. They intend to drive south, but they get turned around in the dark, miss the highway, end up on the road to the mountains. They keep driving, thinking the road will eventually loop back. When they hit the snow, they panic. When the car gets, quote, stuck, they're afraid to push it because they think the car is broken. When they see Joseph Shones, they don't see a man needing help. They see a stranger in the dark. Their parents have taught them essentially stranger danger,
Mm.
so they hide. And then Gary Mathias, using his army training, says, you know, that, he can help them or that they need to hide or something, guides them to hiding. But that's the part that already sort of falls apart because even
Yeah.
if they have the stranger danger, I mean, he's been to Germany, for Christ's sakes. I mean, he's lived in the world and doesn't have, he has his own struggles, but that part is not one of them. So
Yeah.
that,
Right.
but I mean, again, I mean, it's why it's a theory. Some part of that may be true and some, not. It This theory obviously has holes, walking how do they get 19 miles in basically most of them in tennis shoes or,
Yeah.
basketball shoes in a blizzard conditions? How'd they navigate that in the pitch black? And why walk up the mountain instead of down? And
Mhm.
that's probably my biggest thing with that
Maybe
at
they were
least
just disoriented or something because of the storm.
maybe, but you still have to count on Gary quite a bit to have some sense of guidance in that
Yeah.
situation. That
Yeah.
So maybe this is a good time to bring up some of Gary's history as well.
yes.
So Gary, like I had said early on in his life, had had some troubles with the law and things like that. And when he was a teenager in high school, he had gotten checked into some psychiatric facilities, and he was known for breaking out of those psychiatric facilities.
Ooh.
In one instance, he does break out, and he ends up traveling 540 miles on foot from Portland to Yuba County, surviving on stolen milk from porches and dog food.
That is
Yep.
insane. That is such a long walk.
And that
Yeah,
is why it's hard to believe that Gary would knowingly lead them 19 miles into the blizzard
exactly.
and allow them to even go the wrong direction in the car for that long, and for any of this really to happen if Gary was with it. And
Mm.
yeah,
Because that's the other important thing about that. So that 540 miles, the attempts to break out or the actual breakouts, all were for Gary to go home. So he
Just
wasn't
wants to go home,
leaving to
dude.
go anywhere. He was going
I
home. So
feel that.
again, if he's
Oh,
having any kind of mental break, his safe place is home.
oh,
He
I
knows
feel
how to
that.
get home,
Yeah,
and he's not home to this day.
right.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
a ripple in a crazy story, but I don't think that,
mhm.
again, he's the kind of guy that's gonna go AWOL, let's say. Like he's
Yeah.
going, if he's having an episode, he wants to go home. Like I think that's like his
Ex-
safe route, and that's what he
exactly.
wants to do.
Yeah. And, so and back to it, Gary's family insists that he was stable. He was at a stable place at the time of this disappearance or at the time of whatever this is, this mystery. And also other boys, family members, even questioned though, would they really follow Gary into a blizzard just because Gary said so?
Said so, exactly.
Right.
So even, their own family members are saying, because they're friends, and that's something to kind of remember. So they do have a rapport together,
Yeah,
like,
and there
I
is some
mean,
trust.
I like you guys, but I'm not gonna be like, I'm just gonna like do whatever you say
Yeah,
and not,
and
uh, uh,
to get
even
like
with like any
5 grown
limitation.
men,
It
like
does
he's
make
not attacking them. I don't think that that's
No.
possible. I
yeah.
don't think he could have attacked them.
And
On
that
top of that,
especially came from Jack Madruga's family, who had a really hard time believing that he would
Hurt them.
just
yeah,
and that
Again,
he
I
would
don't
just
think he
that
was
they would
violent.
all like Gary's off his, he's having an episode, and
Mhm.
so he's telling us to go into a blizzard. They had a really hard time believing that Jack would just be like, "Okay,"
Yeah.
especially if he's in control of his own car, as
Yeah.
he always
Mhm.
And,
was.
like, I think he would
And
more likely to kick Gary out than
Yeah.
yes,
go
that was
with them and have all
and
of
then
them go.
their thought would be to get help for, yeah,
Mhm.
Gary. So yeah, so that's one. We kinda touched on this a little bit, but foul play. And there was a small town called Brownsville on the way up the mountain. Some locals reported seeing a turquoise car that night. There were rumors of a confrontation at the convenience store in Chico. So, did someone follow them? Someone forced them up the mountain? This could explain the fear or why they didn't signal for help when they see Mr. Shones, that they were hiding from someone. But
Maybe. I still
there's
feel like the opposite.
no
I don't think
physical
yeah, I
evidence
don't
of
think that
that,
one
and I
sticks.
think I think that it's largely probably just rumor,
Because I just
but
think like
it's
they
out there,
saw
it's a
the
theory, it's
dude
out there.
in the car and got scared and they were like stranger danger and then just ran.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I just think that even with that series of events, again, this is all speculation, but the logical thing would be for these group of guys to go to where they're safe, not go and get chased up a mountain. They would turn around and try to go home.
Yeah.
and
Even if they had to change a few blocks, like they would be going still in the
mhm,
direction of home. Like I
yeah,
don't think they would be like, "Oh,
yeah,
let's go completely the wrong way into like nothingness that we don't know anything about." Like,
exactly, and
I don't know. It's
and they
just
wouldn't have
so
run on into the, like, horrible weather if they hadn't been where they were,
Yeah. They
it
would have
could have
just stayed on
been
the flat road.
bad enough, yeah, just, some rain, but
and let's
so
also not give bad actors that much credit. Like, is a group of like thugs gonna chase 5 men up a mountain in a snowstorm just
I don't
for
know. I
No.
mean, you had that a
No.
lot. Was it in Alaska, that killer that hunted
oh, I
people?
don't
What?
even know.
I don't
Yeah, but I think that's like I mean, unless we're talking about you think a hunted like a serial killer hunted these
Oh,
guys.
well, I mean, I'm just saying that we think those things don't happen. They
Yeah, oh,
do,
I
unfortunately.
Oh
know, but
yeah.
I'm talking as far as like thugs in a parking lot. You
Oh,
know,
no. Oh, I
No.
don't think anybody.
No, they'll get
No,
to the end of the parking lot, they'll be like,
no,
ah, all right, yeah, I'm
yeah,
done.
they're not chasing anybody up a mountain. Did they run into like some crazy
no.
mountain hillbilly psycho killer? That's a whole other fucking story.
It's
Some dude in
yeah.
just like a sack and overalls and he's just got a hook.
Oh man, you just
Mm,
dressed as Krampus.
ugh.
Ah.
So yeah, that's that. I mean, that's obviously why this remains a complete and total mystery because
Yeah, and in 2020, the Yuba County Sheriff Department declared or stated that they do believe foul play was involved, and Gary is still a missing person, and it is still an open case. So, if you have any information on this case, call the Yuba County Sheriff Department's tip
Mhm.
line and give it to them because if any piece of information can be filled in from gas station to mountain, I'm sure it's
It's
invaluable. Like
it's the
it's
key.
Aliens.
It is the key, I'm sure of it.
well, again, another unsolved mystery that just piles on the questions that I can't figure out because it was aliens. That's why everybody.
Yeah,
It's
it's
cool.
100% aliens. I wish.
Car was picked up, transported
Transported.
70 miles.
Beep.
Eh,
And then they
The,
took poor Gary.
the only theory
I
we
know.
really didn't the only theory we really didn't like dive into that's adjacent to this is that this semi falls into those David Politis
Mm,
missing 411
yes,
key factors of weather and
woods.
Mental
being seen one
disability.
moment, not being seen the next moment,
Yeah.
woods. I don't think there's water nearby. Maybe that's the only thing that we have
Mm.
not on the list. But
Strange weather pattern, mental
finding the
disability.
bodies in impossible places afterwards with food or supplies or
Mhm.
things they should eat to survive.
Weather impeding a search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I
Aliens or
would love
Sasquatch.
any other theories besides what we just put down. So if you do, leave them
I
in the
would love to
comments.
hear it.
socials. I'd love to hear any other theories.
Mm.
If you're familiar with the area and maybe you have a key insight on how you can travel 70 miles in the wrong direction up a mountain,
Yeah.
chime in. That
Let a
is
person know.
Yeah, absolutely baffling.
Make
For
the
a
math
person with a
make sense.
terrible sense of direction, I could not do that.
Yeah, I would like to think, yeah, me either. But,
My
and
wife
that's
and I
interesting
before
though, that the sheriff that recently is
Mhm.
suspecting foul play, because it would be
Yeah.
the easy thing would be just, well, they had issues and they died of exposure
Chalking up
and starvation and that was
Yeah.
it. And Gary, we haven't found him because it's a national forest and, he made it further. So the easy explanation would be to write it off as accidental deaths.
Yeah.
No, they're
So
keeping it open.
that's interesting to
case.
me.
Again, these are fascinating things. Dyatlov, this one again, more tragic just because these guys did not sign up for any kind of
No.
Arctic adventure.
No.
Nope.
I got a question about
Yeah.
Shaw's. That is the guy that claims to witness him, right?
Mhm.
Was that his name?
Shones.
Yeah.
Shouse,
Did
yeah.
he say that he saw Shaw's, or did he say that he saw any tail lights driving away or anything like that?
He only mentions headlights,
Oh.
seeing headlights
Mm.
coming from behind him, so in the back window of the VW as he's having his in-stimmy. But yeah.
And he does, to just again play devil's advocate like I do, he does have somewhat of a varying story that's
Yes.
not 100% solid all the time. Again, the
Yeah.
man potentially is having a heart attack. I
Yeah.
don't know how credible he is. Eyewitnesses
Right.
are already not credible.
Yeah.
And we're gonna tell
He's
you
got a
this,
lot going on.
That's what I was gonna say.
in a blizzard, heart attack.
I was like that.
Yeah.
Or I was gonna point out the fact that eyewitnesses are always terrible, especially because all the things, and if he didn't come forward and talk about this before the news came out, then it influenced your
Yep.
memory and everything.
Mhm.
Or he led the people up the mountain.
It's been
You
that
know,
he was
That people talk
considered.
about it.
I think there are those that consider
Yep.
him a suspect because his story is so dang weird.
Just
Who goes
again, what it is,
scout
it's like
snow
a full on-
conditions in a VW Beetle of a mountain? I mean,
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I
he's
don't
doing
wouldn't
add
it
on
but-
in
at
a
all.
Mercury Montego. So, just follow me. I'll take you where you need to go. And then he goes and strands him, and then on his way down, then he makes up a story about being a witness because he's got to cover his butt, and
Yep.
I mean,
I
they
mean,
do
possible.
consider,
saying.
yeah.
If
Highly
I'm gonna
suspicious.
consider aliens, we gotta consider this guy, right?
That's
Right.
it.
100%. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
predator is acting all hurt, but then when the prey comes, he pounces.
Yeah.
I've heard that playbook before.
Yeah.
It's not out of the realm of possibility for sure.
But we
it's a
don't have
sketchy story.
any death from any kind of foul play
No.
noted.
Just exposure
did-
and
Oh, what I did want to point out just is a crazy, crazy number in this whole case. We are talking about a group of men that in total traveled about 100 miles from where they're supposed to be.
that's
And
insane.
so as we were doing this, I've been adding up the miles. You got 17, 19, and 4 and 2.
Yeah.
So they're a good 100 miles away from where they're
Mhm.
supposed to be.
That's so
and
far off the
The
trail.
timeline, the possibility that they were surviving for 18 or 13 weeks is potentially a thing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, let us know what you think in the comments. Other than that, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it as always. Stay curious, stay strange. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to join us as a guest, suggest a topic, or have a story you want us to share, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at ssospodcast@gmail.com. For more behind-the-scenes updates and exclusive insights about SSOS, make sure to follow us on social media. And don't miss out on the fun. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, thank you for listening to the Secret Society of Strangers podcast. This show is an independent production, researched and crafted by our passionate team. But we couldn't do it without all of you. We truly appreciate your support. embrace the unknown, for not all secrets are meant to be kept. Farewell, strangers.